Hello, everyone. Good to have you back on this channel. We are looking at the salvation series, and we have chosen the story of Jesus and the Samaritan woman as our case study. In our last episode, we saw that Jesus went to Samaria, where he found himself by a well. In this well, we know that was made by Jacob. And so John presents an interesting analogy in which two important descendants, as it were, of Jacob are presented. Jesus as having come from Jacob and the well as having been made by Jacob. But it's interesting that we know Jesus to be the living water and, of course, the living well, in which when we present and submit to him, we would have eternal life. Today we continue with the story and our discussion, and we'll come to see Jesus as the reconciler of this world. Let's continue with the reading in verse 8 and 9. For his disciples had gone away into the city to buy food. The Samaritan woman said to him, "How is it that you, a Jew, ask for a drink from me, a woman of Samaria? For the Jews have no dealings with the Samaritans." Jesus is interested in breaking barriers. Jesus is interested in bringing all of humanity to God. Jesus is interested in saving all of humanity to himself. To be able to do this, he goes beyond several barriers in order to bring salvation to the Samaritan woman. For a Jew to approach a Samaritan was a big deal. And we know in many of the stories of Jesus that he compares the Jewish people who see themselves as God's people to the Samaritans, who are considered as unholy people. But here is Jesus approaching a Samaritan, and not just any ordinary Samaritan, a Samaritan woman. In the first place, it was not ordinary for a man to approach a woman he does not know, and more critically, for this woman to be of a Samaritan descent. Why does John emphasize on the fact that this woman is a Samaritan and Jesus, as a Son of God, is approaching this woman? Today we are here to share with you that Jesus is able to break all barriers. When God created this universe, he made all of humanity as one people. All of us have had descendants coming from Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and it will take all the way back to Adam, the first man, through whom all of the world have come into being. But as time would permit and as God would allow, people have moved into different locations with different languages, with different cultures, and with different issues that concern them. But in all of this, God desires that all of humanity will be brought together under one umbrella for our salvation and for our oneness. And it is only Jesus who brings this reconciliation. And Jesus is presented here as the breaker of barriers. He broke the cultural barrier, he broke the religious barrier, he broke the social barrier, he broke the economic barrier, and he broke every barrier that had to be broken in order to bring salvation even into the world of the Samaritans. I'm here to share with you this wonderful story of Jesus, who does not only break barriers, but also through it bring reconciliation of God back onto all of humanity. I don't know who you are, I don't know where you may be, but Jesus is here today to bring you back onto God as a reconciler of all of humanity with God. We have created the barriers, the political barriers, the right, the left, the center, the what have you. We have created the geographic barriers, the global north, the global south, the global east, the global west. We have created the social barriers, male, female, from this end, the rich and the poor. But in Christ, all of humanity, regardless of where we have come from, are being reconciled back unto God. I know you'll be enjoying the series as we get along. But remember that Jesus, in spite of he being Jew, is interested in the salvation of the Samaritan. Wherever you may be, Jesus is interested in you. And as we get along with our subsequent discussions, we'll come to see how Jesus brings salvation unto not only the Samaritan woman, but unto all of the peoples of Samaria. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace, even as we seek Jesus, who helps us to reconcile us back unto God. See you in our next episode as we continue our discussion. God bless you.